Hi, this is Mama Shan again and continuing with our green screen series, and we have just extracted this girl from the green screen. It's still there if we shift click on it, and when we shift click on it, notice too that these clipping masks no longer are effective because of course they're being clipped to the edges of this mask. Shift click on it again. In this vein, I wanted to show you some things you can do with other selection tools to the image. So I am going to select the quick selection tool. This is only in CS3, and if you're in Photoshop Elements, they do have a selection brush too that works like this. In fact, that's where this came from. And I'm going to click on that, and you can change the brush size. You want to keep it relatively small, and this tool is really kind of cool. You can click it or drag it, and I'm going to turn auto enhance actually off right now and just show you what I mean. So I click and drag in this area. I'm trying to select the shirt, by the way, and then release. And I suggest just clicking and dragging a little bit and releasing. Just give it time to update. See, that did a big chunk there. And I'm going to zoom in. The trick is to keep the diameter, that perimeter, inside the color area that you want to select. So we'll just go around here. And it automatically jumps over to the plus helper button when you start off with new selection. You can take away from the selection using this brush too, and that works very well. In fact, you're going to see how that works in a second here because it selected some of the finger, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just selecting all of the shirt parts. We got that. Now I want to take the finger out of the selection. So you can also hold down the Alt key with this selection tool, and notice the cursor updates with a minus sign inside. So that's a visual clue that if I click and drag, it's going to take away from the selection, like that. And then space bar, click and drag with the mouse, come over to this finger, hold down the Alt or Option key, or you could come up here and use that helper button, but notice when I click on Alt or Option, it automatically toggles over there in the options bar. Okay, that's good enough. And then there's a little edge right up there. Now I'm going to click Auto Enhance and just drag a little bit right here, smooth up that edge. And once the shirt is selected, we're going to use this to create a mask and change the color of the shirt. And I'm going to create a hue saturation adjustment layer on the very top here. What I may do is actually group these three elements together: the masked image and these two clipping masks. So I'm going to shift click to highlight these three layers. Holding down your shift key while you click, the group icon at the bottom will put them in a group automatically. And I'm going to leave that collapsed and then come down here to the Add Fill Adjustment and choose Hue and Saturation. Now when the Hue Saturation dialog box opens up, I'm going to click the Colorize box, and I'm going to dial in a hue, up the saturation. I think I'm going to go for kind of a goldish shirt. Maybe make it a little bit darker here by using the lightness slider, taking that down a bit. Come up on that. Just about there, and click OK. And that creates this mask. And I'm going to zoom in, so I see a little bit of pink fringe here. So I'm going to grab my brush tool and switch to a white foreground color and get an airbrush soft round. I'm going to lower the opacity, maybe to around 30. And just on this edge, because I've chosen a gold color, I'm just going to come over and put that gold over that pink fringe at a lower opacity. Just very gently. Then release. I can swipe it one more time at this lower opacity, and that's going to blend that edge in. That. Okay, now for the background, we've got to make the background match, or let's change it while we're here, even though purple looks very nice. I'm going to double click on this bottom color fill layer here, and get nice brown. That looks pretty nice. Okay, now I'm going to show you something that could potentially save you photographers out there that buy a lot of backdrops, thousands of dollars. Already saved you a couple hundred by showing you how to create a background spotlight in here. Now I'm going to show you how to put in different backdrops. Now it's all going to be on this color fill layer where we already have the gradient overlay. We're going to add one other layer style or effects. So click on the effects icon to add a layer style, and we're going to come down to pattern overlay. And when this dialog box opens up, we're going to change the opacity. Just we'll bring that down a bit, maybe scale up. And this first pattern is probably one of the ugliest patterns, but click on this little arrow here, and let me move this up. You can click on the flyout tab, and you can load all kinds of patterns, and I've already loaded a bunch of patterns in here, and all of these come shipped with Photoshop. They're the presets patterns. And what I'm going to do is just move my layer style box over a bit here. I want to increase my image size here so you can see this. Maybe I'll take the opacity down a little bit more. And as I do that, see how it's blending in with that backdrop? It almost looks like some kind of sheer material. And I'm just going to go in here and cycle through some of these patterns. And I've got the blending modes too to play with, but I just have it on normal at 17%. And I'll just cycle through some of these. Satin is nice, and you can, play with the scale if you like, but for a backdrop I kind of like it way up there. I think I missed that one. Isn't that cool? And this one is one of my favorites right here, Molecular, because it just is sort of soft focus and in the background. But I'm going to show you another trick that you can do with these. Clouds background, woven. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at this. Zebra. I mean, these are just awesome. And you don't have to labor trying to take down one backdrop and put up another. So I'm just cycling through, and all these are in your Photoshop. That's another nice one I like. The optical squares. And then we go down to the nature ones here. Blue daisies, leaves, ivy leaves, yellow mums. I'm going to go back to leaves right here. Oh, I want to show you the grass one too. Spiky bush. These are just, I think they're gorgeous. Ooh, which one do I want? Okay, I think I'm going to stick with the ivy leaves. And see, and we're still seeing that spotlight in the background. Let's see what happens when I change some blending modes here. Unbelievable, isn't it? Okay, what time of the morning is it now? It's 1:38 in the morning. Does Mama ever sleep? Rarely. Can you see why? This is so much darn fun. It's unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to click OK with that. And one of the cool things that you can do when you have added layer styles and effects is you can actually separate them from the layer and work on them applying filters to them. And that's what I'm going to do, and this is how you would do it. You right click on the FX icon that's on the layer. If you're on a Macintosh, you would hold down the control key. That's the actual key that says control on it. Not the command key, the control key on a Mac. But on a PC, you right click on it. It opens up this dialog box and you come down here and say create layers. The create layers command in this flyout menu for the effects of that layer simply means it's going to give separate layers for each one of the effects. So I'll click on that, give it time to update, and you can see what it's done. And we know what this is called, don't we, folks? Clipping masks. But the cool thing about it when it separates this is that I can highlight this pattern fill clipping mask and go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and look at that. And it just makes her pop off the page. You can blur it to any amount you like, but I kind of like it. High up there like that. It really gives it some just popping. That's too much. I still want to get a little bit of that texture in there. So about 33 pixels. And I'm going to just zoom in on this. She is popping off the page, folks. So anyway, please visit my site and check out my products and support me and buy something if you can afford it. Otherwise, keep learning so that you can improve your skills and earn a living out there. See you later.